Before we begin, just want to talk about our weekends. You can assume that everyone had a decent weekend at least, like some relaxation, completing some homeworks and assignments. Usually when I have a good weekend, it mostly includes just doing what I want to. No one tells me that I have to do my homework. I can choose when to do my homework, and I lead my own lifestyle. Has anyone else done this? Yeah. So this is what, in the Daoism perspective, is Wu Wei, or doing things naturally and effortlessly. And today we're going to be talking about how Wu Wei and Daoism has affected Chinese culture. So Daoism originated during 4th century BCE during Warring States period. It was founded by the philosopher named Lao Tzu, as you can see right here. And he valued simplicity, as it is clearly shown in many of his texts, including Tao Te Ching and Zhuangzi. This is the original copy of Tao Te Ching.
So what is Daoism? Daoism is is a tradition that values the importance of living with the Tao or the Way. The Way is a universal path that is undefinable, and it is a pattern of how things just happen naturally. There was a saying from Lao Tzu, the founder of this tradition: those who know do not speak, those who speak do not know. So this means that the people who understand what Daoism is don't really speak about it because it's undefinable. The people who talk about it don't really understand because it's very hard to express and obtain, and you can only experience it to understand the concept.
The Way follows the nature, which means when we obtain it, we can enable Wu Wei. Wu Wei is the state of doing effortlessly and naturally. Interconnectedness is another belief that Taoists value. And this leads us to answering our first essential question: who has a right to rule? In Taoist perspective, no one has a right to rule. As mentioned earlier, Taoists value simplicity, natural and nature, and harmonic state. And the added force of controlling would interfere with this harmonic state.
Daoism has influenced Chinese culture for more than 2,000 years, and its legacy stays because there are evidences that show this tradition, and there are practices that help to pass it on.
Daoism has influenced Chinese culture in many different aspects of concept. The aspects include medicine, visual arts, and speculative literature, and the concepts such as feng shui and yin yang.
Medicine. Chinese medicine has been very important to the Chinese culture and Taoism. Practitioners use herbal medicines and body practices, unlike the Western culture, which uses medicines that target one specific disease. Practitioners in Chinese culture look at the whole body. Instead, in Western, they look at one specific area that's affected. And this shows how everything is connected. The whole body is connected. So when one part is when there's a problem in one part of your body, your whole body is affected. Acupuncture is a very useful treatment in traditional Chinese culture, and it's originated from Taoism. Acupuncturists put needles on certain points. These points are called acupuncture points. It's everywhere on your body, and when you have an injury, for example, you have a back injury, then they don't only just put needles on your back, but also everywhere on your body, including your arms and your legs. And this is because Taoism has the belief of interconnectedness, and because everything is connected, your whole body is connected. So when there's a problem in your body, your whole body is affected. And there was one time that my brother had an allergy, and we were eating with my uncle, and my uncle told him that he could reduce the allergy rash, by just pressing against the elbow crease, and it actually worked, and I was kind of surprised. And this leads to our second essential question: what do Taoists value, the group or the individual? Of course, it's the group, because it's everything. Everyone and everything is connected, and when one problem exists, everyone is affected.
Next, visual arts. Calligraphy, a very famous type of visual arts in China,
were actually started during the Warring States period with Daoism. Daoism actually set the highest standards for calligraphy and other visual arts. This can be shown in later in Chinese history. For example, one of the greatest calligraphers of all time, Wang Zizhi, was actually an adherent of the way of the Celestial Master. One of his most famous works was actually the transcript of the Book of the Yellow Court, a Taoist text. Another example can be shown in Taoist canon, which was used to analyze different types of plants and minerals. And this later led to exceptionally high standards of botanical and mineralogical drawing that China soon attained.
So to clarify, secular literature means any type of text that does not include religion, beliefs, etc. So like visual arts, secular literature, Daoism had most influence in the Warring States period on secular literature. Esoteric Taoist texts influenced many male authors that led to literature works based on Taoist texts and practices of the Daoism and the Zhuangzi. Revealed literature, the Mao Shan, not only influenced Tang poetry and romantic fiction, but also created intimate life of Emperor Wu of Han, which is a very famous folk tale based on lives of the perfected Mao Shan text.
Feng Shui. Feng Shui is a very interesting concept, and Feng Shui determines the characteristics of a structure to harmonize with spiritual forces. So it could also be putting a bowl of goldfish in front of your door at home. But an example in Hong Kong is the Repulse Bay. As you can see, the Repulse Bay is a residential complex with a hole in the building. And these hole in Feng Shui concept is called dragon gates. Dragons from mountain go through the building without any obstruction to get to the water and drink water. So when they go through a building, they won't have any obstruction. And it is because that dragons are symbols of having strength and good luck in Chinese culture. That's why people put holes in their building because they want to have good luck. Another example is the Bank of China. The Bank of China has a lot of edges, as you can see, like here and here. And these edges are shaped like a knife, because knife has edges too. So it gives out bad and negative energy or bad feng shui to buildings around. So for example, the city bank is also affected by the Bank of China because the Bank of China releases bad feng shui energy. That's why designers of buildings around designed their building very carefully because the Bank of China affected them. And this shows that how people in Hong Kong still value feng shui a lot. And it also shows how Daoism and the designs of the building are connected. That's why everything is connected, because Daoism has a belief of interconnected.
Last but not least, the most iconic symbol of Daoism, yin and yang. Yin and yang represents how seemingly opposing forces are actually complementary for another, and it also shows how balance and interconnectedness plays a great role in Taoist perspective. This actually was fundamental to the Chinese culture, as it said it was fundamental base for Chinese philosophy and Chinese belief.
So when you realize you did something effortlessly or naturally, remember that you might have just enabled Wu Wei, or the requirement of being one with the Tao. So this will lead to our final essential question: when is change positive? Change is positive in a Taoist perspective when it happens naturally or related to Wu Wei. So Taoists would take that more as a blessing and not as torture. So with that being said, if you ever feel stressed out, you ever feel tired on some days, remember to follow the way. Thank you.
All right.